The worst part about family dinners isn't the endless questions about my love life or the not-so-subtle hints about my biological clock. It's the way they serve up manipulation alongside the mashed potatoes, expecting me to swallow both without complaint. I'm Celeste, and I should have known something was up when Mom insisted I come over on a Tuesday night. She'd been calling non-stop for days, using that sugary sweet voice that always means trouble. "It's important, sweetie. The whole family will be there." The whole family meant my sister Remington, her husband Christopher, and their 2 kids who were currently turning Mom's pristine living room into a war zone. Noah was chasing Brinley around the coffee table, while Mom pretended not to notice the sticky fingerprints they left on her precious antiques. "Celeste, honey, could you help me in the kitchen?" Mom called out, probably hoping to corner me about whatever agenda she had brewing. I found her stirring gravy, her perfectly styled grey hair catching the kitchen lights. "Set the table, would you? The good china." The good china. Definitely trouble. "What's the occasion?" I asked, carefully arranging plates. "Oh, you'll see." She smiled that knowing smile that made my stomach clench. Dad was already seated at the head of the table, pretending to read something on his phone. He barely looked up when I kissed his cheek. Remington swept in moments later, practically glowing, with Christopher trailing behind her like a tired shadow. "Everyone settled?" Mom chirped, bringing in the last dish. "Remington has something special to share." My sister stood up, beaming. "Well, we weren't planning this, but—" She pressed her hands to her stomach in that universal gesture. "Surprise! Baby number 3 is on the way!" The room erupted. Mom burst into tears. Dad actually put his phone down, and the kids started jumping around screaming about being a big brother and sister again. I forced a smile and offered congratulations while trying not to choke on my wine. "Oh, this is wonderful," Mom gushed. "But wait, where will the baby sleep? Your house is already so full." Remington's face fell perfectly on cue. "I know, we're trying to figure that out. The housing market is impossible right now." "Well," Mom said, turning to me with that look. "Celeste, honey, you have that spare room you use as an office." And there it was, the trap I should have seen coming from a mile away. "That's not a spare room," I said carefully. "That's my workspace. I run my entire business from there." "Oh, come on, Cel." Remington waved her hand dismissively. "You could work from anywhere. It's not like you need a whole room for your little freelance thing." Little freelance thing? I gripped my fork tighter. I design for major clients. I have meetings, deadlines. "But this is family," Mom interrupted. "Surely your sister's baby is more important than some computer work." Dad finally looked up. "Your mother's right, Celeste. Family comes first." "My work is how I pay my mortgage," I said, fighting to keep my voice level. "I can't just—" "Oh, please." Remington rolled her eyes. "It's not like you're doing anything important. You just sit at home all day playing with graphics." The table fell silent except for the sound of Noah dropping his fork. I could feel something building in my chest. Rage, maybe. Or possibly just years of being undermined finally reaching their boiling point. "I think," I said slowly, "that my work is exactly as important as I say it is, and my office isn't available." Mom's face hardened. "Celeste Griffin, I raised you better than this. Your sister needs help. And I need my workspace. The answer is no." Remington's eyes welled up with tears. Right on schedule. "I just don't understand why you have to be so selfish. This is your niece or nephew we're talking about." I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "I should go. I have an early meeting tomorrow." "With who?" Remington sniffed. "Your computer?" "Actually, with an international client about a contract that would change everything, but I kept that to myself. Let them think what they wanted. They always did anyway." "Celeste!" Mom's voice had that edge to it as I grabbed my coat. "What could possibly be more important than family?" I paused at the door, thinking about the email sitting in my inbox, the one with all those zeros attached to it. "You'd be surprised," I said, and left them sitting there with their judgment and their cooling meatloaf. In my car, I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to my best friend Fatima. "They did it. They actually did it. Call you in 10. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. But for once, I had something they didn't know about. Something that would change everything. And I intended to keep it that way." "They want you to what?" Fatima nearly spat out her coffee across my kitchen counter. "Please tell me you're joking." I wished I was. The morning after the disastrous dinner, I'd invited her over to vent. Fatima had been my rock through years of family drama, and I needed her clear-headed perspective now more than ever. "They're acting like my office is just some empty room I'm selfishly hoarding," I said, refilling our mugs. "Like my entire career is just a cute hobby I can pack up into a closet." "Girl, do not give in." Fatima's dark eyes flashed with protective anger. "Remember what happened with Remington's wedding? How could I forget? I'd given up my savings for a down payment because Remington needed a destination wedding in Bali. Mum had insisted I help, saying I could always save up again since I didn't have any real expenses." "Or the time they gave her your car," Fatima continued. "The one you spent 2 summers working at that awful diner to buy." "Dad said she needed it more for her new job," I muttered. Meanwhile, I had to take 3 buses to get to my internship. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, a text from Remington. "Hey sis, was thinking maybe we could look at some cute desk setups for your bedroom. There are some adorable floating shelves on Pinterest." I showed the message to Fatima, who made a gagging noise. "The audacity," she said. "She's already planning to redecorate your office?" Another buzz, this time from Mom. "Darling, please be reasonable. Your sister is struggling. Christopher's salary can only stretch so far." "They're tag-teaming me now," I said, silencing my phone. "Watch, Dad will call next." As if on cue, my doorbell rang. But it wasn't Dad, it was Christopher, looking uncomfortable in his work suit. "Hey," he said, shifting his weight. "Can we talk?" I let him in, catching Fatima's raised eyebrow as she gathered her things. "I should head to work anyway," she said, hugging me tight. "Remember what I said. Don't let them steamroll you." After she left, Christopher perched awkwardly on my couch. "Look, Celeste, about last night. If you're here to convince me about the office, I'm not." He ran a hand through his hair. "Actually, I wanted to apologize. You deserved better from them. From all of us." I sat down, surprised. "What do you mean?" "Come on, we both know how it goes. Remington wants something, your parents make it happen, and somehow you always end up paying the price." He looked genuinely ashamed. I should have said something sooner. "Why now?" "Because—" He hesitated. "Because I've seen how hard you work. And honestly, this pregnancy wasn't exactly planned. We can't really afford another kid right now, but Remington insisted. She always gets what she wants." My laptop chimed from the office, probably that encrypted message I'd been waiting for. Christopher stood up. "I should go. Just don't let them pressure you, okay? You've built something good here." After he left, I checked my email. There it was, the contract from Danielle Flores, the CEO who'd been courting my designs for months. My hands shook as I read the terms. 7 figures, international exposure, complete creative control. My phone buzzed again. "Mom. We're coming over tomorrow to discuss this properly. Your sister is very upset." I looked around my office, at the carefully curated workspace where I'd built my business from nothing, at the wall of awards they'd never bothered to acknowledge, at the contract that would change everything. They thought they could bully me into submission like always. But this time was different. This time, I had options. I called Fatima back. Remember when you said I should play the long game? Yeah? I think it's time. The contract came through. She whistled. The big one? With all those zeros? Yep, but I'm not telling them. Not yet. Oh? I could hear her grin through the phone. What are you planning? They want to see me as the family failure? Fine. Let them think that. But when they try to take over my space, my life, they're going to learn exactly what I'm worth. Girl, that's deliciously evil. Fatima paused. But what about tomorrow? Your mum's text said they're coming over. I smiled, thinking about the contract waiting to be signed. Let them come. They think they're staging an intervention, but they have no idea what's really coming. After hanging up, I sat in my office chair, spinning slowly as I considered my next move. The old Celeste would have given in, would have sacrificed everything to keep the peace, but I wasn't that person anymore. And my family. They were about to find out exactly how much they'd underestimated me. My phone lit up with another text from Remington. Found the perfect crib for your office. Can't wait to show you tomorrow. Can't wait, I typed back, smiling to myself. Oh, tomorrow would be interesting indeed. If you had your own family, you'd understand. Mom's voice crackled through my phone speaker for the third time that morning. We're only trying to help you feel useful, sweetheart. I kept working on my designs, letting her words wash over me like background noise. The past week had been a constant barrage of calls, texts, and surprise visits. I'd started recording everything: calls, screenshots, a detailed log of every manipulation attempt. Fatima called it my revenge receipts. Are you even listening? Mom demanded. I'm working, Mom. You know, that thing I do to pay my bills? Oh, please. It's not like you have real responsibilities. Your sister has to go. I cut her off. Client meeting. I hung up just as my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Remington holding what looked suspiciously like paint swatches. Go away, I called through the door. Don't be ridiculous. She tried the handle. I brought lunch, and some ideas for the nursery. It's not going to be a nursery. Mom said you'd be difficult. She sighed dramatically. I'm pregnant, Celeste. Are you really going to make me stand out here? I opened the door, if only to stop the neighbors from witnessing another Griffin family spectacle. Remington breezed past me, already pulling paint samples from her bag. I'm thinking sage green, she said, spreading them across my coffee table. Gender neutral, you know? And it would look amazing with the white crib I found. There's not going to be a crib, I said, moving to save my laptop as she started arranging catalogues over my work papers. Or sage green walls, or a nursery, period. God, you're so selfish. She pressed a hand to her stomach. The stress isn't good for the baby. Neither is assuming you can take over someone else's home. It's just an office. She threw up her hands. You can work from anywhere. I need this, Celeste. Why can't you understand that? My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Your mother's very upset. Call her. Then another from Mom. We raised you better than this. And another from Remington, even though she was sitting right in front of me. Being difficult on purpose. Classic Celeste. Group chat. What should we do? I watched her typing away, presumably to our parents, coordinating their attack like always. My own phone kept lighting up with their responses. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out! I pointed to the door. Now! She gathered her things slowly, making a show of her pregnant lady struggle. You know, she said at the door, one day you'll regret pushing your family away. When you're all alone with your little computer projects, you'll wish... I shut the door in her face. 10 minutes later, my phone rang again. Danielle Flores' name flashed on the screen. Celeste. Her warm voice was a welcome change from family drama. How's the contract looking? Ready to sign? I said, pulling up the document. Just reviewing the final details. Excellent. The team's excited to have you on board. This campaign will be massive. We're talking billboards, international ads, the works. Your designs are exactly what we need. I smiled, imagining my family's faces if they knew. I can't wait to start. After hanging up, I took photos of Remington's abandoned paint swatches and catalogues, adding them to my growing evidence folder. Then, I called Fatima. They're escalating, I told her. Mum's playing the guilt card, Remington's going full victim mode, and Dad's doing his disappointed patriarch act. Time to go nuclear? Not yet, but soon. I hesitated. They're all coming over tomorrow. An intervention, apparently. Want me there for backup? No, I need to handle this. But maybe stay on standby. Always. She paused. Just remember, you don't owe them anything. After we hung up, I sat in my office, running my hands over my desk. This space represented everything I'd built on my own. Every client I'd won. Every late night I'd worked while they dismissed my career as a hobby. My phone lit up with a group text, accidentally forwarded by Remington. Remington. She's being impossible, probably just jealous because she's alone. Mum. We'll fix this tomorrow. She needs to learn her place in this family. Dad. Leave it to us, Princess. Your sister will come around. I screenshotted the exchange, adding it to my folder. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the contract again. My cursor hovered over the signature line as another text came through. Mum. We're all coming over at 2 p.m. tomorrow. No excuses. Time to remind you what matters in life. I signed the contract with a flourish, then emailed my realtor about that bigger house I'd been eyeing. They wanted to remind me what mattered? Fine. Time to show them exactly what they'd been underestimating all these years. They arrived like an invasion force, Mom and Dad in front, Remington waddling behind them with Christopher trailing awkwardly in the rear. I'd been working since dawn, determined to keep my office looking exactly like what it was. A professional workspace, not their future nursery. Celeste, Mom started as soon as they settled in my living room. We need to talk about your attitude. My attitude? I kept my voice level. You mean my completely reasonable response to being told to give up my workplace? See? Remington gestured at me dramatically. This is exactly what I mean. So hostile. Dad cleared his throat. Princess, tell her the news. Remington straightened up, smoothing her designer maternity dress. Well, since you're being so difficult about the nursery, we've come up with a solution. We're moving in temporarily. The room went silent. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. Just until the baby's born, Mom added quickly. We've already discussed it. You have plenty of space here for Remington, Christopher, and the kids. Have you all lost your minds? I stood up, hands shaking. This is my home. You can't just decide to move in. But we're family, Remington's voice went shrill. And you have all this space you're not really using. Not using? I gestured to my office, visible through the open door. I work here. I run my business here. I'm working on something big right now. Oh, please, Remington scoffed. Your little computer drawings again? They're not just drawings, they're... I stopped myself, remembering my plan. No revealing the contract. Not yet. Honey, Mom leaned forward, using her counseling voice. We know you think your hobby is important, but this is a baby we're talking about. Your niece or nephew. My work is not a hobby. Then what is it? Remington challenged. What's this big thing you keep talking about? Another logo for some small-time business? I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Celeste, Dad finally spoke up. Your mother and I have supported you playing around with this design thing, but it's time to grow up. Family comes first. Supported me? I laughed, and it came out harsh. When? When you gave away my car? When you made me drain my savings for Remington's wedding? When exactly have you supported me? Don't be dramatic, Mom snapped. We've always treated you girls equally. Christopher, who'd been silent until now, made a strange noise that might have been a laugh. Something funny, Chris? Remington turned on him. No, just... He stood up suddenly. I need some air. After he left, Remington burst into tears. See what you've done? You're stressing me out, and now you're turning my husband against me. Nobody's turning anyone. Enough! Mom stood up. Celeste, this is happening. Remington needs this. The kids need this. You can either help willingly or what? Or we'll do it anyway, Remington said smugly. I still have the spare key you gave me for emergencies. I felt something snap inside me. Reaching into my desk, I pulled out a new set of keys. Actually, I changed the locks last week, and I'm not asking anymore. Get out. You changed the locks on your family? Mum looked scandalized. Yes, and if you try to move in, I'll call the police. You wouldn't dare, Remington gasped. Try me. They left in a storm of threats and tears. Mum promising this wasn't over. Dad shaking his head in disappointment. Remington declaring I'd ruined everything. Christopher, still outside, just nodded at me as they passed. As soon as they were gone, I called Fatima. They tried to what? She practically screamed. Move in. They actually thought they could just move in. Girl, tell me you signed that contract. Last night. I pulled up my email, staring at Danielle's enthusiastic response to my signed agreement. Should I have told them? Maybe if they knew about the deal. No way. They'd only try to take credit for it. Or worse, try to get money from you. You made the right call. After we hung up, I walked into my office, my sacred space that they'd tried to claim like it was nothing. My phone buzzed with messages. Mom, you've broken your sister's heart. I hope you're happy. Remington, Mom and Dad think you need professional help. Dad, your mother can't stop crying. Call her. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the contract again, reading Danielle's words. Your designs will revolutionize our brand. Welcome aboard, Celeste. Let's show the world what you can do. My phone buzzed one more time. Christopher. For what it's worth, you did the right thing. They've always taken advantage. Maybe it's time someone stood up to them. I smiled, thinking about the house I'd viewed online. The one with the massive studio space and state-of-the-art security system. Time to make some real changes. Let them think they'd won. Let them think I was just being difficult. Soon enough, they'd understand exactly what they'd tried to steal. The mock-ups are incredible, Celeste. Danielle's face beamed from my laptop screen during our video call. The team's buzzing about the direction you're taking this. I'd been working non-stop for 2 weeks, throwing myself into the project partly to avoid my family's escalating drama. Every design felt like a silent rebellion against their dismissal of my work. I'm thinking we could push the launch date up, Danielle continued. Strike while the iron's hot. How do you feel about presenting in person next week? My phone lit up with another call from Mom. The 15th today. I declined it. Next week works perfectly, I said, just as my doorbell started ringing repeatedly. Everything okay? Danielle asked as the ringing turned to pounding. Celeste Griffin! Mom's voice carried through the door. We know you're in there. I'm so sorry, I told Danielle. Family emergency. Can I call you back? After ending the call, I opened the door to find Mom and Remington, both red-faced and clutching shopping bags. You can't ignore us forever, Mom pushed past me. We brought nursery samples. Get out. Don't be ridiculous. Remington dumped her bags on my desk, right on top of my sketches. "Look at this adorable mobile, and these curtains would look perfect once we paint." I said, "Get out!" I snatched the papers from under her bags. "This is my workspace, not your personal renovation project." "Your workspace?" Mom scoffed. "You mean where you play with your little computer all day? While your sister actually needs—" "Get out, or I'm calling the police." "You wouldn't," Remington gasped. I pulled out my phone. "Try me." They left, but not before Mom delivered her parting shot. "If you had your own children, you'd understand what really matters in life." As soon as they were gone, my phone buzzed with a group text. Clearly meant for Mom and Dad, but accidentally sent to me too. "Remington. She's completely lost it, acting like her little drawings are more important than my baby. Mom, we'll handle this. If she won't listen to reason, we'll just move your things in when she's out. She can't fight us forever." Remington. "Good idea. She has that design conference thing next week. Perfect timing." I screenshot the exchange with shaking hands, then called Fatima. "They're planning to move in while I'm gone," I said when she answered. "They're actually plotting to take over my house." "Tell me you're not still going to that conference." "I have to. It's the project launch. Danielle's expecting me to present." "Then it's time," Fatima said firmly. "Call the realtor, get that house. And girl, go nuclear." I hung up and dialed my realtor. "Sandra, remember that house we looked at? I want to make an offer. Today." That evening, my phone lit up with another accidental group text from Remington. "Just wait until she sees what we have planned. She'll have to accept it once we're moved in. Besides, it's not like she's doing anything important with that space anyway. Just her silly little computer job." Something in me snapped. I opened our family group chat and typed, "Accidentally saw your plans to invade my home. Consider this your only warning. Touch my property and I'll press charges. I'm done being your doormat." The responses were immediate. Mom, "How dare you threaten your family?" Dad, "This is unacceptable behavior." Remington, "You're just jealous because you'll never have what I have." Then came the private messages. Remington, "You think you're so special with your career, but you're just a lonely failure who can't even keep a boyfriend. At least I'm doing something meaningful with my life." I stared at the message, feeling a strange calm settle over me. Opening my laptop, I created a new folder titled Family Karma and started compiling everything: screenshots of their threats, recordings of their verbal abuse, photos of them trying to take over my space. My phone rang. Danielle again. "Sorry about earlier," I said. "Family drama." "Actually, that's why I'm calling. The team loves your work so much. We want to feature you in the launch. Magazine interviews, press conferences, the works. You'll be the face of the campaign." I smiled, thinking about my family seeing my face on billboards, my name in magazines, my designs changing an international brand. "When do we start?" "Next week, right after your presentation." She paused. "Everything okay? You sound different." "Everything's perfect," I said, watching another angry text from Remington pop up. "Just dealing with some long overdue karma." After hanging up, I sent one final message to my family. "You want to see what I'm really capable of? Just wait." Then I blocked their numbers, poured myself a glass of wine, and started planning exactly how I would show them what they'd been underestimating all along. The time for playing nice was over. They wanted war? Fine. Let's see how they handle losing. "I've been thinking about what you all said," I announced, standing in my parents' living room, "about family coming first." It had been 3 days since I'd blocked their numbers. When I finally called to suggest a family meeting, they jumped at the chance, probably thinking I'd caved. Mom beamed. "Oh, sweetheart, we knew you'd come around." "Finally," Remington smirked from the couch, one hand resting on her barely visible bump. I knew you'd stop being difficult eventually. I pulled out my laptop and connected it to their TV. You're right. Family is important. So important that I've made a little presentation about ours. A presentation? Dad frowned. What's this about? Just watch. The first screenshot appeared, their group chat planning to invade my house. Then another, and another. Years of texts, emails, and photos documenting every manipulation, every dismissal, every time they'd sacrificed my needs for Remington's wants. What is this? Mum's voice shook. Evidence, I said calmly, of years of emotional abuse, planned harassment, and attempted property invasion. You're recording our private conversations? Remington shrieked. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. Not when you're accidentally including me in group chats about planning to break into my home. The next slide showed my car, the one they'd given to Remington, then my old savings account statements, showing the withdrawal for her wedding. This is ridiculous. Dad stood up. Turn this off. No. I clicked to the next slide. A recording of last week's conversation about moving in without my permission. You wanted a family meeting? Let's have one. Let's talk about how you've treated me my entire life. We've given you everything, Mom protested. You've taken everything, I corrected. My car, my savings, my peace of mind. You tried to take my home, my career, my dignity. But here's what you don't know. I clicked again. My signed contract with Danielle appeared, zeros clearly visible in the payment terms. What is that? Remington leaned forward, squinting. My little computer job, the one you've been mocking for years. I smiled. I just signed the biggest design contract in the industry. 7 figures. International campaign. My work will be on billboards across the world. The room went silent. That's impossible, Mom whispered. And this, I clicked again, showing my new house listing, is where I'm moving next month. 6 bedrooms, dedicated studio space, and a state-of-the-art security system. You're lying, Remington stood up, face red. You're making this up to hurt me. The press conference is next week. You can watch it on TV since you won't be invited. I closed my laptop. Oh, and one more thing. I've instructed my lawyer to file harassment charges if any of you come near my current or future property without written permission. Lawyer? Dad's face went pale. Celeste, we're your family. No, I said quietly. You're people who share my DNA. Family doesn't try to destroy someone's life because it's convenient. Please. Mom reached for me, tears streaming. We can fix this. We'll do better. It's too late. I picked up my bag. I've given you chances for years. You chose Remington every time. Now you can live with that choice. You can't do this to me, Remington wailed. I'm pregnant. I need you. No, you need someone to manipulate. Find someone else. As I turned to leave, Christopher appeared in the doorway. He must have heard everything. Good for you, he said softly, stepping aside to let me pass. Chris! Remington screamed. Do something! But he just shook his head and walked out behind me. In the driveway, he caught my arm. Listen, about the kids. They can visit, I said. With you. Only you. I'll have my lawyer draw up terms. He nodded, relief visible on his face. Thank you, and congratulations on everything. I drove straight to Fatima's place, where she was waiting with wine and ice cream. Well? She asked as I collapsed onto her couch. It's done. My hands were shaking as I reached for the wine. I showed them everything. How'd they take it? About how you'd expect. Denial, tears, accusations. I took a long drink. Mom's already called 6 times from different numbers. And how do you feel? I thought about the looks on their faces when they saw the contract, the house, the evidence of their own behavior laid bare. Like, I can finally breathe. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mom, again. You'll regret this. Family is all you have. I blocked the number and pulled up my email instead, where Danielle had sent the final press conference schedule. Next week, my designs would be everywhere. My name would be everywhere. And my family? They'd finally understand exactly what they'd lost. Actually, I told Fatima, I feel free. And the visionary behind this revolutionary campaign, please welcome Celeste. Danielle's introduction was met with thunderous applause as I took the stage. The press conference had gone viral. My designs splashed across every major media outlet. Now, standing in my new home's expansive living room 2 weeks later, surrounded by industry leaders and genuine supporters at my housewarming party, I finally felt like I was exactly where I belonged. Your work is extraordinary, a magazine editor gushed, clutching her champagne. The billboards are stopping traffic. Literally, Fatima chimed in, appearing at my elbow. There's a video going viral of people taking selfies with the downtown display. The doorbell rang, and my stomach tightened. I'd sent formal invitations to my family, knowing they wouldn't be able to resist seeing what they'd lost. Right on cue, there they stood, Mom, Dad, and Remington, looking uncomfortable in their Sunday best. Welcome, I said coolly. The rules were in the invitation. You may stay as long as you behave professionally. Mom's lips trembled. Celeste, honey, this house is incredible, Dad finished, staring at the soaring ceilings and modern art, my designs, on the walls. Yes, it is. I turned to greet more guests, leaving them to find their own way around. Throughout the evening, I watched them drift through the crowds, hearing snippets of conversation about my success. Every time someone praised my work or mentioned the campaign's impact, I caught their flinches. Is that your family? Danielle asked, nodding toward where Mum was clutching her wine glass too tightly. The ones who thought your work was just a hobby? Former family, I corrected. And yes, karma's a beautiful thing, she smiled, raising her glass. To success, the best revenge. I circulated through the party, accepting congratulations and discussing future projects. My new studio space drew particular attention, with its wall-to-wall windows and state-of-the-art equipment. I'd made sure the tour route took everyone past it. Celeste? Christopher's voice surprised me. He stood alone, looking sharp in a suit. Got a minute? We stepped onto the quiet balcony. Below, the city sparkled, and somewhere out there, my billboard lit up the night. Remington's not handling this well, he said, loosening his tie. The pregnancy, your success, all of it. He hesitated. She's talking about moving in with your parents. That's not my problem anymore. I know. He leaned on the railing. I'm thinking of leaving her. That got my attention. What? Seeing you stand up to them, it made me realize some things. About how she treats people. How your parents enable it. He straightened up. I filed for joint custody last week. Before I could respond, we heard raised voices from inside. Remington's distinctive wail cut through the party noise. This should have been mine, she was screaming, gesturing wildly at my studio. I'm the one who deserves this. I'm having a baby. Mom tried to shush her, while Dad looked around apologetically, but Remington was past caring. You stole my moment, she pointed at me as I re-entered. Everything was supposed to be about my baby, but you had to make it all about you. The party went silent. Fatima stepped forward, but I held up a hand. Security, I called calmly. Please escort them out. You can't do this, Mom protested as 2 professional security guards appeared. We're family. No, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. You're trespassers, and you've just violated the terms of your invitation. As they were led out, I heard Remington and Mom starting to argue. This is your fault, Remington snapped. If you hadn't pushed her so hard. My fault? You're the one who insisted we had to take her office. Their voices faded as the door closed behind them. The party quickly resumed, my guests tactfully turning to other topics. Well, Fatima appeared with fresh champagne. That was entertaining. More than the billboards? I managed a smile. Girl, watching them realize what they lost? Better than any TV drama. Later, after the last guest left, I stood in my studio, looking out over the city. My phone buzzed with a text from Christopher. Thanks for having us. The kids would love to see your new place sometime, when it's just us. Another message popped up. From Mom, probably from a new number I hadn't blocked yet. You've torn this family apart. I hope you're happy. I was, not because they were hurting, but because I'd finally broken free. My designs lit up the skyline, my career was soaring, and for the first time in my life, I didn't need their approval. Looking around my beautiful new space, I replied to Christopher, Sunday brunch with the kids sounds perfect. Then I blocked Mum's new number and went to bed in my dream home, surrounded by the success they'd never believed I could achieve. The morning sun streamed through my studio windows as I finished the final touches on my newest design campaign. A gentle knock at the door made me look up. Christopher stood there with Noah and Brinley, both kids clutching art supplies. Uncle Marcus at school said he saw your pictures everywhere. Brinley bounced over to my desk. He said you're famous. Not famous, I laughed. Just doing what I love. Our Sunday brunches had become a tradition. While Christopher handled his divorce proceedings, the kids had found a safe space in my new home, away from the family drama. Can we draw in your studio again? Noah asked, already pulling out his sketchbook. Of course. I cleared a space at my work table. Show me what you're working on. As the kids settled in, Christopher handed me a coffee. Remington had the baby yesterday, he said quietly. A girl. I nodded, letting the information settle. How are you holding up? Better than expected. The lawyer thinks we'll finalize everything next month. He watched the kids drawing. Your parents are moving her into their house this weekend. Of course they are. I turned back to my work, but my phone buzzed. Fatima. Turn on Channel 7 right now, she demanded when I answered. I pulled up the local news on my studio's wall screen. There was my mother, standing outside her house, being interviewed about her successful daughter, Remington. Despite everything, Mum was saying, family stays together. Remington's new baby is such a blessing, and we're all here to support her, unlike some people who abandoned their family for material success. I muted the TV, but not before catching Christopher's eye roll. Unbelievable, he muttered. Actually, it's perfectly believable. I pulled up my email where Danielle had just sent over the numbers for my campaign. And completely irrelevant. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number, but I recognized Remington's text style. Mom's on TV talking about how amazing I am while you're probably alone in that big empty house. Hope you're happy with your choice. I showed Christopher the text. He sighed, then gestured to the kids happily drawing at my work table. Yeah, I said. I'm pretty happy with my choice. Aunt Celeste, Brinley called out. Can you help me draw like you do? I joined them at the table, showing Brinley how to sketch basic shapes while Noah worked on his own project. Christopher watched us, smiling. You know, he said, this is what family should look like, supporting each other, not tearing each other down. My phone lit up again. Danielle, this time. The board loved your new concept, she wrote. They want to make you creative director. Full department, complete control. Interested? I looked around my studio, at the kids drawing, at Christopher finally looking relaxed, at my designs illuminating the city through the windows. Then I looked at the muted TV, where Mom was still talking, probably about how I'd betrayed them all by choosing my career over Remington's demands. Very interested, I replied to Danielle. Aunt Celeste, look! Noah held up his drawing, a surprisingly good sketch of my billboard design. I want to make big pictures like you when I grow up. You can do anything you want, I told him. Don't let anyone tell you different. Mom says drawing is a waste of time, he said quietly. Well, I pulled out a fresh sheet of paper. Mom's not here? Want to waste some time with me? As we drew together, I thought about karma, about choices and consequences. My family had lost me, yes, but I'd gained something better: peace, success, and a chance to break the cycle for the next generation. My phone buzzed one last time. Dad. Your mother's interview. She shouldn't have done that. I know we handled everything wrong. I'm sorry. I stared at the message, feeling the weight of everything that had happened. Then I looked at Noah and Brinley, watched how freely they created without fear of judgment or demands to give up their space. Thanks, I wrote back. But I'm not. I blocked his number and turned back to the kids. Who wants to learn how to use the digital drawing tablet? Me! They shouted in unison. As I helped them set up the tablet, Christopher touched my shoulder. Thank you, he said softly, for showing them a different way. Outside, my billboards lit up the approaching evening. Inside, in my sacred space that I'd protected so fiercely, 2 kids drew their dreams without limits or conditions. This was my real victory, not the success or the house or even the satisfaction of proving my family wrong. It was creating a space where creativity was celebrated, not sacrificed, where dreams were nurtured, not dismissed, and that was worth more than any revenge.